So for those of you that don't know, I started a new company recently, and we're not going to really talk about that today. But that company is called Subtract Manufacturing. It's kind of like Xometry, but run a little bit more like a farm co-op than a big, giant, evil company. In starting that, I have found what might be my new favorite software tool of all time. Now, I have no association with this company at all, other than that I pay them to use their service. They don't know who I am. They don't know or care about this YouTube channel. This is in no way sponsored. I just really like the tool, and I wanted to give you guys a quick kind of introduction to it and show you how I use it. That software is called Obsidian. It's kind of halfway between like a wiki and like a notepad app. But it does some things in a way that I really like. So let me show you what I've done. So this is Obsidian. Now I'm actually starting here in what they call a canvas as opposed to just a normal note. So their normal notes look like this. They use the markdown formatting standard. So if I want to do a title, it's just a octothorpe, a hashtag, and then, title. If I want to make things bold, it's just 2 stars and words. So it's very simple. First thing about Obsidian is it saves it locally on your computer. So this is an actual text file that is being saved on my computer. It does not have to be cloud, though I do pay for an extra subscription on top of the free version is free, but then I pay for a subscription that does make it cloud and shared between myself and a couple people that I'm working with on Subtract. But you don't have to pay, and you can keep everything local on your computer. Or host it in like your Google Drive, and then as any computer that you have connected to your Google Drive, you can get to all of this stuff. But it's not cloud-based, and if you don't want a subscription, you don't have to. Now, the thing that really sold me on Obsidian was this flowchart tool. Now, it's a really basic flowchart tool. You can find a billion better forms of this online. But the thing I really like is you can convert these little blocks to files. So, and you can actually see the ones here that are bold, those ones I have like a full document on. The ones here that are just kind of small text, those are just a block in the flowchart. They don't exist outside of this flowchart. But for example, I can go to this quote email here. I can right click on it and hit open a new tab. And right there is my template for this quote email. And this email still needs a little bit of refinement, but we have a starting point. So this like master flowchart of processes, I originally just kind of designed without any of these documents, and then I have been filling them in as I go. So for example, all of the red here, those are specifically emails. And so all of these emails I have written templates for. And they're pretty simple. I used ChatGPT to get me started, and we'll refine these as we go, and we'll build automations that automatically fill out the stuff. But it all starts here with the processes, and then from there we can, build out the individual steps of the process. And, this is kind of the general flow of how Subtract runs. It starts with marketing. People end up on our website. They submit a quote. We have a bunch of emails and communications. Eventually all of those stuff, wrap up. Eventually the customer pays. And then we pass the information on to the shop. The shop makes their parts. They inspect them. They send the inspection report to us. We approve it. And then we ship out the parts. Well, then the shop ships out the parts. I still have a couple things that we need to fill in. These are some processes that are just kind of hanging out here. Some more processes that we need to build. Some of our accounting stuff is very rough. I called this a budget, and that's kind of how cash is flowing through our system at the moment. But this one flowchart pretty much wraps up the business. I have a lot more work that I need to do. There's a couple places here where it's just like lost quote feedback process. What's that going to look like? I don't know. Payment method. Right now we're just using PayPal invoices, and that very quickly needs to get sorted out, but I don't know how to do that yet. So it's just a purple block. Inspection. I believe I actually have a document for this yet, but we don't really, so we don't have that one built out. So there's a lot of work that I have left to do on Subtract, but having it all here in this flowchart, really makes it clear and obvious where I need to be working. Let's see, there's some other ways that I use Obsidian. We use them for to-do lists. So Jacob has kind of his to-do list broken up into a couple different places. It also has this nice feature where you can just like click a button and do a daily note. And this is where I'll drop like my to-do list for the day. So for example, look, record Obsidian video. I'm doing that right now. And here's some other things that I need to knock out. I have these separated into a little personal section. And actually I can drop that into that folder. And this doesn't sync with the rest of the team. This is just for me. And I have kind of some of my own stuff there. And then all of this stuff here does sync with, you know, everybody else that I'm working with. So another example of how I've been using this is I just made an HR folder, because that's apparently a thing I have to deal with now. And in this, we're going to be hiring a social media manager, or at least taking on, you know, a contractor part-time to help us out. And so I started working on the job descriptions. And I just stored that right here in Obsidian, where, you know, we can get to it whenever we need to. You know, I have some of our policies in here. Jacob has some things built up for like our data flow. He wrote us a process on setting up, you know, Vault Warden that we're using to store our passwords and stuff like that. All of that we've been storing in Obsidian. It is our one source of truth for the company. And while we do have like Airtable that runs our individual like orders and job management, that kind of stuff, all of like the company management, I have been doing in Obsidian. So basically, Obsidian is my job. Like as the, you know, the entrepreneur, the person in charge of the company, the CEO, whatever you want to call me, you know, the dude running it. I have been largely focused on building out Obsidian and building everything we need into that, and letting the people who are actually doing the work, Jacob and Scott, letting them focus on what they need to. So I know this is kind of a quick random video, like, you know, why is the machining guy talking about a piece of software? It's because I really like it and it really helped me. So I thought any of you guys who are running shops or building businesses on your own, it may help you too. Thank you guys for watching. Ooh, check out subtractmanufacturing.com if you have parts that you need made. Thank you guys. Bye.